Yaakov,
Yes.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
Baruch Hashem. What's happening there, Yaakov?
Baruch Hashem.
Good, good. So we're 20 minutes early, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, it was 5 minutes early. It's okay.
Okay. Okay, I'll see you. Thank you. Bye. All right. I'm gonna take a break a minute, Yaakov.
No problem. Yes. No problem.
No one touch it. It's choking. I did. It's with me. Hey, Brian, come see.
All right, I'm on.
Hi.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Here. All right.
Hi, David.
Hi.
What's up?
All right, so you're making the host? And host
You
already?
see? Oh,
You're gonna make me the host, or you want to be the host?
and what?
Yeah. Please.
David Maimon.
1 minute. All right, thanks.
How are you?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
How you doing?
Bye. All right. All right, thank you. Hey guys, hey everybody.
Hi, David.
Hey, it's recording from now, just by the way.
I
Very
see.
nice.
All right. I am the host. Very nice.
Great.
All right, so Yaakov, you heard that.
Yes.
All right, good.
That one.
First, that's what Adisha is gonna do Tevim and Hashkava, and then Yair is gonna make
See you, and then
a
I'm gonna
siyum, and then Yaakov is speaking. Aviva, you know your name's Abigail.
What?
You know that your name's Abigail, okay?
Yeah, for some reason that's how it's programmed. I don't know why.
All right, fine.
Do you do you guys see me or you just hear me?
We just
I just hear you. I don't see
hear you, yeah.
Hey, whose phone is
You can
Okay.
turn on
you.
your phone.
Not on.
And what?
You can
Your
turn
video's
on
not
your
on.
video.
I don't want it on.
Oh, okay, fine.
I could see you. You don't see me, right?
No,
Okay, fine.
See you.
Hi, everybody.
I think
You don't see me yet, but I'll put on my video in a second.
Okay.
Now you see me?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
Hi.
Hi, Visa.
Shh, 1 second, huh?
All right, I'm going to the living room. All right, guys, I need a living room. Mark,
That'd be guy, okay.
I'm going to use the living room, so you go out, okay?
What does
Put it
that
on right now.
come in here?
I'm going to use it now,
Why
okay?
can't they be in here?
I don't know, because I'm going to use it the day. There's a house with me over there.
David Maimon, you're gonna mute us?
I will mute you when it's time, yeah.
Okay.
Aviva, I don't see you.
I know, no one's seeing me today.
Oh, you're not going to video today?
I'm not coming on now.
Ma,
What?
Uncle David is in charge.
Yeah.
No, please see. Man, whenever I turn anymore, by the way. I can't see.
Who are you talking to? David, Mark is talking to you.
Mark?
Yeah, Mark, hi. Say hi,
I
Mark.
saw you yesterday.
Yeah, you did. How are you?
Good. It's nice.
Listen, when I start, I'm gonna mute everybody, and then you can unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Yaakov, you could also, when Your turn.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, while you're speaking, I'm gonna look for everybody else.
Okay.
People
Yeah,
listening.
just unmute the speakers if I don't know if they know how to unmute themselves.
Right, no, I'll look for them. If Rabbi Ladish has his name and maybe Maimon and if they all have their name, then that's fine. But
Rabbi Eliel said that he has his name, but he's not home. He's in Baltimore, he said. So I'm not sure which computer he's using, if it's his
Fine.
name or.
hopefully I'll find them.
I'm gonna call him. If he doesn't come on right away, I'll call him. It's fine. Oh, here's Shavua coming on. It says Chava.
Mhm.
Hi, Shavua.
I don't see him.
Hi, Shmuel, how are you?
Oh, but he's not on audio.
Hi,
Shmuel,
Shem.
we don't hear you, Shmuel.
Hello.
Yeah, we do. How are you?
What's up? How are you?
How are you, Samuel? Hi, Chava.
Hi, Chava.
I see you.
You want to see?
Viva is off.
Aviva's not on show.
I'll show you for a minute.
Oh, okay.
But
Oh,
until I'm
wow, look at that.
Sneak
Hi.
peek, Aviva.
Hey,
What?
hi.
I'm Mordechai.
hi.
Hi.
Stay on, said Aviva.
I'm
I what?
Mordechai.
And stay on.
Hi. Say hi to Morgan.
Hi.
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 David, I like your backdrop over here. It looks very nice and organized.
Oh yeah, thanks. That's my
He
father.
shows it on purpose, Chava.
What you say?
He shows it
Yes,
on purpose.
He just on purpose.
Hey, those are my desks. So
Tell
yeah,
Daddy to come.
it has to be.
Why are you here so early?
Oh,
I wanted to see you. You won't laugh. That's supposed to be funny.
What's
When
with
I was
that?
here.
You said, why was it so early? I said, because we wanted to see you.
Ah,
He does this to me all the time.
hi, Sarah.
Poor Chava has to live with it.
Sarah, we can see you until after. You can put yourself on.
Yeah, but I'm in. Oh my goodness, Sarah.
Oh, Sarah, I can't.
Oh, yeah,
Why
yeah.
not? That's fine.
This is a virtual background in case no one knew.
I can't. That was too much. That was too much, Sarah.
One for Harry Potter.
I can't. I don't know.
Okay, fine.
Oh, you don't have to look at her.
You can put it if you want, but I don't know. Not with you there.
No, not with me. No, here, 1 second.
You can put it alone, but not with you then.
No, it's going to be for later, Sam.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
how's the week?
What?
Sarah's gonna have a girl. Sarah became a grandmother.
No, I don't want to be seen like that because I'm in my messy kitchen.
Oh, okay.
I want to see Yochai.
1 minute, what?
Sleeping.
Yochai's sleeping.
Bed.
He's in bed. Take
Yeah,
him out.
it's 9:30.
No, what? No, 10:30.
Oh yeah, 10:30.
Oh,
That's
this
right.
is such a mess.
10:21.
What?
Just by the way, everybody should know it's recording now. So whatever we say is being recorded.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll keep it in mind, David.
I don't get
And so when we share it, when it gets shared on YouTube, everybody's gonna see this.
Why? Do you have to record from now, David, or you can start soon?
So Howard did it for me from now.
Oh, okay.
We
Fine.
We can cut it out though. We can cut it out later.
Who's starting the Tehillim?
Rabbi Badish.
I finished.
Oh, Aviva, you're Abigail, okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, very nice. Yeah, instead of being Cool Pan, the other time I didn't know who you were. Don't I look like
Son
Abigail?
is here, but he's not on
I know you
audio.
look like Cool Pan. I'm so cool.
How's your soda, Shmuel?
Huh?
How's your soda?
Good.
Yeah, good. Enjoy.
There's no
No,
Snapple
it's
in this town, so he's been living on soda.
Oh, man.
Or not at the stores that we're going.
Alrighty.
Bitch.
All over the place.
You shouldn't be going to any stores, Chava. You going
Okay.
shopping?
Simcha.
You only want to go.
Yes.
No.
Right before Rabbi Sign was on, but he wasn't on audio.
Oh,
Rabbi Sign was here before.
he was here before.
Yeah, but then he was. Yeah, wait, he might be coming in now.
You could bring a white people and kill them.
Yeah, we're
Keep
saying
on.
that now.
Okay, fine. Okay, connect the audio, fine. So. Okay.
I don't see my voice. Oh,
Please
yeah.
connect the audio.
Yeah, tell you.
Yeah. Okay. I see Steve is on. Hi, Steve.
Are those playing, Mark?
Steve left. He was on before. I saw him, but he left. He said he's come back.
He's still there. He's just on mute.
Oh, he's not.
Okay, he might not be
Yeah, he
there,
is.
but the video's off.
Hi, everybody, Sutton. Thank
Who are
you.
you? Do you hear me?
Good. Yes, I
Yes.
hear you.
Do you see me?
I
No.
don't see. There's not on.
I don't know how to do. What do I do? I hit
Hey,
start
on the
video?
bottom, on
Yeah,
the bottom
please
of your
start.
computer, there's a picture of a camcorder. Press it.
There you are. I
Oh,
see you
okay.
now. You.
David, why did you start recording this later?
You can't do
Because
so.
the Howard fella did it for me. It's recording from now.
It's
If we need,
fine.
we'll cut this out.
Fine. Okay. All right, Roberto, you should be on in a couple minutes. We'll start with the two then.
When it comes on, I'm gonna mute everybody. Besides, I'm gonna mute everybody.
Okay.
All right, son, how are you?
Baruch Hashem, how you been?
Oh, Hashem.
Hard month.
1 month. Yeah.
Mark, get me to Shan.
I don't think Seattle's on yet. I don't see Auntie Sally or Auntie Rosie.
No, it's not here yet.
Am I muted?
No,
No.
no. At this point, you
Yeah.
can mute yourself if you want, Sarah.
Okay, good.
Should I go Auntie Rosie?
Kind of. That was 6 minutes.
I'll go.
Is your Sally going to your interview?
Yeah. Hi, Auntie Rosie. Simcha, how are you? Oh, it's Auntie Sally. I didn't recognize your voice. How are you? You okay? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, I just
can
wanted
mute
to let you
yourself.
know we're on Zoom if you guys want to sign on. Oh, she's working on it? Okay.
Here we go. Oh, hi.
hello,
Okay.
Hi.
I see them.
All right,
Hey,
I
but-
see you guys. All right.
Just tell him to put on the video.
Okay.
Wait, I want to see them.
Auntie Sally, Auntie Rosie, do you know how to turn on your video?
Auntie Rosie said she's coming on.
David,
You can.
Yeah, hi.
is it loud enough for
I
Sharon?
don't know what's this on James Bond thing. That's it.
Auntie Sally.
Hello. Where
Hi, how are you? What's doing?
That's Sarah, huh?
Yeah.
Is that you? I don't.
Yeah,
see
it's
you.
me. Auntie Sally, I need your correct email address because I wanted to send you a picture,
Oh,
but it didn't go because it wasn't the correct one.
Hey, Reyna, that's a very bad angle. We can't see you. The
I
light
know.
is too light from outside.
It's too dark.
I know.
Wait,
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Better?
Good.
Oh, better?
Yeah, I don't hear Auntie Sally now. Okay.
Hi, Sarah. Everybody good?
Hi.
Hey, Auntie Sally, on the bottom of your screen, there should be a picture of a camcorder.
a what?
Know that? A picture of a camcorder.
Okay.
Okay, hey, on the bottom left, there should be
Okay.
two pictures.
Bottom left. It's
Yeah,
supposed
try
to be
to
down
get this wrong.
front. Anyway, we
One
got it.
says, one says start video. Press on that.
You want me to stay on the phone with you while you try it?
Any camcorder.
Okay.
1 second, I'm going to.
How are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
Okay, we're good. Your contraction, everything okay?
Yeah.
Rest of the wine did good?
There's Reyna. That was Reyna.
Yeah, I was making her more,
We're all on.
Oh, this is Esther.
more
Esther, how are
active.
you feeling?
Okay, you're supposed to put them to sleep.
Yeah, I know. I you want it.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Aviva. How are you?
Hi.
It's nice to see
At
you.
least you're not fire anymore.
It's
I
8:46.
think, but it doesn't stay. The name
It said, no,
doesn't-
now it says your name. You're not listed as fire anymore.
No, but the minute I go out of it, it won't keep the name.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't save it.
Auntie Sally, I asked you to start your video.
Start your video.
Yeah, I sent you that.
Oh, here.
There you are.
Oh, there's Auntie Sally and Auntie Rosie.
No,
Hi.
I asked him to start the video. Sure.
Okay, no, sorry, Musa, no, no. Yeah, but-
8:46.
Just be careful doesn't get on the couch. You can have, but I'm saying.
Oh, Yaakov.
How are you? What's up?
That's Shlomo Sutton.
High five.
Hi.
How are you?
5, 5, 9, 2, 1, 6.
You want to use my phone to see it, or are you going to sit with me?
Hi, Auntie Sally. Hi, Auntie Rosie.
Hello.
Hello there.
Who's awake by you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, never
No, I
mind.
don't see you.
No, it's 3 o'clock. Why wouldn't they be like?
I know, I'm just thinking that it's 10:30 by you, but it's
Oh,
not.
I see
Hi,
that.
Michael.
He's trying. No, that's
Where's Michael?
Hi, Michael.
Yaakov, you're really overgrown.
Who's down there?
Yes, you're here. Yes.
How do you feel about it?
I don't know. AVIGA.
Hi, Moshe. Hi, Michael.
Abigail is
See you, Rabbi.
the daughter.
Yes.
Hi, Michael.
Yeah, with her husband down here.
Michael's here.
הנה, מייקל עשה לך שנה. לא לך, כאילו,
Rabbi Radish is here, so whenever you want to stop.
Must be him.
Give him another 2 minutes.
The side.
Mrs. Krieger is here.
Hi,
Oh, Mrs.
Moshe.
Krieger joined, wow. Mrs. Krieger.
There's more.
Said I must have done for her.
Esther, we hear you.
I know.
Hi,
Oh,
I
Mrs.
didn't give it
Gutman.
to her,
Wow.
so you must have.
She hears us too? Hi, Mrs. Krieger. Thank you for coming.
Oh, Mrs.
You say
Krieger's
hello.
here.
Hey, Michael.
Mrs. Krieger, thank
We're having a
you.
fight here.
Rabbi Dash is
Nice. Yeah, you look good, Sally.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Oh, Auntie Sally, you look great.
Huh? Oh, but it has to plug, it has to be plugged in. It's charging.
Esther.
What?
Esther.
44%.
How are you?
Yeah?
David's also here. Hi, David.
Feeling okay.
Hi, guys. Hi, David.
Moshe Friedman.
Hi,
Here,
David.
Jackie.
Oh, once I
Oh,
start,
I
pay
see you
attention
now.
to your WhatsApp and see
How
if
do
I
they
text you.
decide who goes where?
I don't
Hi,
know.
Jack. Rabbi Yaakov, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Auntie Rosie's gonna say hi to her son. Watch. Just a second.
Shemuel and Havli.
Auntie Rosie's gonna say.
Them I
Yeah.
recognize, yeah.
Hello.
You guys can
Now
have,
you're looking more and more like your father.
Okay, I'm muting everybody.
Yeah.
Para muchos años, everybody. Para muchos años.
Amen.
All right.
Wow, Avery, we're marveling how you look exactly like your father.
Okay. Nobody. Everybody's muted. Simcha and Rabbi Radish are unmuted.
Okay. Rabbi
So-
Radish, we can begin.
David
Rabbi Radish
Rachel is
gonna
not
begin
on
with the
yet.
last-
Oh,
Rabbi
okay.
Radish,
Wait.
we're gonna begin with the last 5
Wait for
seconds.
Rachel. 1 minute. Wait for Rachel.
Oh, where's
On.
Rachel?
She's
on.
I'm
Oh,
on.
I
she
think
is? Okay, fine.
Rachel is on. It's under
Fine.
Solomon's.
Yeah, I'm on.
Yeah,
Okay,
usually Solomon's
Rachel's on.
Okay.
Okay, so Rabbi Radish, why don't you begin with the last 5 seconds of David?
Okay. So we're gonna say the last bit of keep together. We're gonna do it together
Yeah,
now.
the last 5.
Let me get it to you.
Okay.
We'll start
Mark,
together.
Mark, come give me a Tehillim.
Everybody has the Tehillim together?
Yes,
You
we're
should have it. Okay. It's the
Right
one
there.
that- There's no response.
Which pirakim?
the last 5.
Time for my
Yeah, I got it.
That's 6.
Tehillah.
That's the 6.
Tehillah, David.
Hallelujah. Everybody has it? Ashish? Which one is it? Yeah. Hallelujah. Hello, hello, Ricky. Also, hello, be good. Hello.
Oh, he's saying the lesson.
Hello, B'Tekah Shofar. Hello, B'Neve V'Chinot. Hello, B'Tov V'Chor. Hello, B'Nim Gab. Hello, B'Sis Shema. Hello, B'Sitra. Kol HaNeshama. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Asher Yish. Asher Alach. Ma'asan Sha'im. B'Terech HaChaim. Na'aman. Mushav Yitzim. Lo Yashak. Yim B'Torat Adonai Hifso. ובתורתו יהגה יומם ולילה, והיה כעץ כשתולה כפלגי מים, אשר פריו ייתן בעיתו ועליהו לא ייפול בכל אשר יעשה יצליח, וייתן מציון ישועת ישראל בשוב אדוני בשוב עמו, וגיל יעקב ישמע ישראל, ישועת צדיקים אדוני, עוזם בעץ הרע, יעזם אדוני ותן רשעים, Should we say the Ashkava now? Or should we wait till after the Rashot? We could do after the Rashot.
Yeah, I think we were going to wait till after the Rashot for the Hashkava.
Okay, fine. Very good. Hazak Baruch.
Okay, so now my brother-in-law Yair is going to make a siyum on Masechet Menachot that he learned from my father, Mordechai ben Reyna.
Okay, beautiful.
Yair, you're up.
Okay. המשנה אומרת שעולת בהמה, עולת תוף, מנחה, נאמר אותו פסוק ישלח ניחוח. לומר אחד המרבה ואחד הממית, ובלבד שיכוון ליבו לשמיים. נגיד את הקטע של הסיום. הגמרא אומרת, לא לרצוני אתם זובחים, אלא לרצונכם אתם זובחים, שנאמר. לרצונכם תזבחו, שזה לרצון השם אתם זובחים. זאת אומרת, לא שהשם צריך את הקורבנות, אלא אתם צריכים את הקורבנות לכפר עליכם. דבר אחר, לרצונכם תזבחו, זבחו לדעתם זבחו. זאת אומרת, צריך כוונה לשחוט את הקורבן. כתבה ימינה שמואל ואבונה, מניין המתעסק בקודשים שהוא פסול, שנאמר ושחט את בן הבקר, שתהא שחיטה לשם בן בקר. זאת אומרת, התכוון לשחוט ולא לעשות דברים אחרים. אמר לו, זו בידינו לעכב מניין. מניין, שאם הוא לא מתכוון לשחוט, הוא מעכב. שתלמוד לומר, לרצונכם תזבחו, לדעתכם זבחו. נתחיל את המשנה במסכת בכורות. הלוקח עובר חמורו של עובד כוכבים, והמכרו לו אף לפי שאינו רשאי. המשתתף והמקבל ימינו והנותן לו בקבלה, פטור מן הבכורה שנאמר בישראל, אבל לא באחרים. זאת אומרת שאם יש צד של גוי, בבהמה זה נפטר מבכורה. כל דין בכורה שמביא דווקא, אם נטו זה של ישראל, אבל אם יש צד של גוי, אז הוא פטור מן הבכורה. נגיד את האדרן. אדרן הלך מסכת מנחות ואדר חלן. דעתן הלך מסכת מנחות ודעתה חלן. לא ניתן שמינה מסכת מנחות ועוד ניתן שמינה לא במעלתם ובמעלדעתי. אדרן הלך מסכת מנחות ודעתה חלן. והדרה חלן. דעתן הלך מסכת מנחות ודעתן על אחנן תן שמנחות מלאכות ניתן שנן. לה בעלמא, דן לה בעלמא דעתי, דעתן עלך מסר מלאכות, דעתן עלך מסר מלאכות דעתה חלן. לא ניתן שמנח מסר מלאכות דעת, ניתן שמנן בעדן לא מלאכות. יהיה עצום ולכן לנו נותן שתי תורתך ומנותן בנו מזהו טוב, אימנו לעם בא. חיינה בפפה, אמא בפפה, נחמי בפפה, חי בפפה. הבמאי בפפה, הפעם בפפה, רישו בפפה, סוכה בפפה. עלתה בפפה, דאו בפפה, הרבנה עדנה אלוהינו. את דברי תורתך בפינו ובפיות עמך בית ישראל. ונהיה כולנו, אנחנו צאצאנו ידי עמך, ידי שמך. ולומדי תורתך לשמה, ואוהביה תחכם אלי מצוותיך, כי לעולם הנה יהי ליבית ממנו חוקיך, למען לא יבוש, לעולם ישכח פקודך, כי לא מחליטני. ברוך אתה אדוני למדני חוקיך, אמן אמן אמן, נצח סלע ועד. מודיעים אנחנו לפניך אדוני נותן ששמת חלקנו בישועי בית המקדש ולא שם חלקנו בישועי קרנות. שאנחנו משכימים והם משכימים, אנו משכימים דברי תורה, והם משכימים דברים מתים, אנו עמלים ואין עמלים, אנו עמלים מקבלים שכר, והם עמלים ואינם מקבלים שכר, אנו רצים והם רצים. אנו רצים לחיי העולם הבא והם רצים לבאר שחת, שנאמר ואתה אלוהים תורידם לבאר שחת אנשי דמים ומרמה, לא יחצו ימיהם ואני אפתח בך. יהיה רצון בפניך אדוני נותן שכשם שעזרתם. לסיים מסכת מלאכות, כן תעזרני להתחיל מסכתות וספרים אחרים ולסיימם. ללמוד ולמד לשמור לעשות לקיים את כל דבר תלמוד תורה בעבר זכות כל התנאים והאמוראים ותלמידי חכמים יעמוד לי ולזרעי שלא תמוש התורה מפי ומפי זרעי וזרע זרעי עד עולם ותקיים בי ותכחך ותהלכך תנחה אותך בשוכבך תשמור עליך והקיצה איתה תצטרך כביר ויעמך וספרך שנות חיים אורך ימים בימינה ובשמאל ושם מקורות בני אוזן הוא ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום אמרכם על כל ביותיו החוץ ואחרום אמרכם על נפש רוח ונשמה שיש כל שנפטר מן העולם, הרב מרדכי מימון בן רינה ג'ינה. רוח השם תנחם בגן עדן.
Amen. Okay, now we're going to have my brother Yaakov Maimon speak. Go ahead, Yaakov.
Good afternoon. I want to start with a little poem. It sounds like this. Death changes everything. Time changes nothing. I still miss the sound of your voice and the wisdom in your advice, the stories of your life, and just being in your presence. So no, you see, time changes nothing. I miss you today as much as the day you passed away. Daddy, we miss you. We know everybody has a pasuk, that the first letter of the pasuk is the first letter of the name. The last letter of the pasuk is the last letter of the name. My daddy's pasuk was Ma'ahavti Toratecha Kol Hayom Ti Sichati. How beloved is your Torah? For all day, this is my speech. Not only that that's what daddy's pasuk, that was daddy's personality. His personality was that all day, his day was Torah. All day his speech was Torah. Not only day, it was night also, but the pasuk says Yom, so we're going to say day. Going on from there, my father used to learn shachita when he was in Israel. Daddy learned shachita, and when my cousin made a Chanukah bayit in Lakewood, Daddy bought 5 chickens and shechted them in Lakewood. But he bought them on Friday afternoon, and Daddy put them in the backyard over Shabbat. Daddy always used to say, "This is no pshat. One of the chickens ran away down Amim. A chicken running down Amim is no pshat." I want to continue with another story, if I may. Rabbi David Lopian, the Rosh Yeshiva Mitash Melech, told me that he used to see Daddy on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur praying in Mitash Melech. And Daddy always had a smile on his face. He told me that he used to go over to Daddy and ask Daddy for beracha after Yom Kippur. He says a person that has so much pain and suffering and he can still have a smile on his face, from that type of man, the Rosh Yeshiva Mitash Melech needs a beracha. Another story I like to say is that Rabbi Yaakov Maimon from Israel told me that Daddy used to come home from yeshiva, and they used to eat by Nana and Papu's house. Jackie used to, Rabbi Yaakov used to eat by Nana and Papu's house with Daddy. And Daddy asked him one time, would you like to spend 10 minutes with me after lunch? And we'll learn. So Rabbi Yaakov told Daddy, yes, no problem, 10 minutes. He said he saw the joy on Daddy's face, learning with him for 10 minutes, that inspired him to go to yeshiva. And now he's the Menahel of Mitash Melech in Israel, learning day and night. Just because Daddy had a smile on his face and enjoyed Torah so much that it inspired him to go to yeshiva and become a rabbi. Another short story that I want to say is something that I saw with my own two eyes. That every Friday afternoon, Daddy used to go to shul before Shabbat quite early. He used to sit and learn, as he always did. About 5 minutes before shul started, somebody used to walk in and say hello to Daddy. Daddy told him, sit down, I want to tell you Dvar Torah. And Daddy would tell him Dvar Torah, and the beam on Daddy's face, the shine on Daddy's face, giving Torah to somebody else, was something unimaginable. He was so happy to give Torah to somebody else, because not only does he have enjoyment, he has enjoyment from giving it over to somebody else, because he's giving them something that they're going to have forever in Olam Haba. This Torah is something they're always going to have in Olam Haba. I just want to say thank you, a special thank you to Auntie Sally for taking care of Daddy for many years in Seattle, and also for getting up early in the morning and driving him to shul 30 minutes from our house to shul. Because in Seattle, there is one minyan, not like New York, where there are minyanim constantly. There's one minyan, and Daddy had to go early because he had to say the korbanot and Panos Telet and Tefillin before shul started. So Auntie Sally, a special thank you to you for always taking Daddy to shul and making sure that he was there early, which is really on time because he had to do because he had to put on a certain tefillin, which takes a couple minutes. Auntie Rosie, I want to say thank you to you for having Daddy in your house on Shabbat, so that it's a short walk from him to shul, so you can go to shul on Shabbat. I just want to say thank you to everybody else that has taken Mishnayot. There are still some left. I'll be emailing a list out later on. And if you need to take, and if you want to take any Mishnayot, please call me. My number is 347-962-8505. Again, that number is 347-962-8505. Thank you.
Thank you, Yaakov. Rabbi Radish is now going to honor us with some words about my father. Rabbi Radish.
Thank you very much. Am I on? Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak about my good friend. It's more than just a friend. I hold this by Rebbe. The pasuk says in Aharei Mot, "V'daber Hashem el Moshe Aharei Mot shenei bnei Aharon v'karabtan b'nei Hashem yamutu." And it says, "V'daber Hashem Moshe Aharei Mot," and after the two sons of Aharon died, v'karabtan, when they brought closer to Hakadosh Baruch Hu, b'nei Hashem yamutu. So the Chazal are bothered by the last word, V'yamutu. Why did I say V'yamutu? It says already, V'yamutu in the beginning. Aharei Mot. So why say V'yamutu again? They died. It says twice they died. What's the pshat? Why is they say twice? I heard a pshat from Rabbi Yisachar friend, he's from Seattle, and he brought it from the Shem Tov. He says over, he brings down from the Gemara in Moed Katan, in Chav Dalet Munalek. We know that a person, when he does Kiriyah, when he does the ripping of the Abelut, he does it B'Shat Himum. What is B'Shat Himum? B'Shat Himum means at the most prestigious time, when he's really feeling it. However, the Gemara brings down that Rabbi Yohanan, when he heard that Rabbi Hanina died a year later, Kara Aleha, he ripped his clothing. They said, the Hachamim asked, why did he rip his clothing? It's a year later. It's not B'Shar Himum, it's not the time, it's not like a very, very prestigious time. So the Gemara brings down, it's different. That Gabra Rabbah is a great man, and a great man cannot, a great man, even if he does something later on and he learns something, if he follows something, what he said, that great man is going to be felt throughout the year. Even years later, he's felt. So that's why he did it. He says the same thing here also by Aharei Mot. When the two sons died, even though they died then, they're still Yamutu. They still feel the loss. The loss is still felt because of their tremendous amount of Kedusha that they had. People felt it throughout. I want to say, this Mordechai was very special. Just a few days ago, I said, I'm going to have a beautiful, beautiful derasha. I saw it. I saw one of the derasha, and I was saying, oh, there's something that Mordechai would be very, very beautiful about it. He would just jump out of his knees. He would go crazy about it. And I realized I couldn't say it to him. I looked forward for him to come on Shabbat because when I prepared the Rasha, it was a good story. He loved it. He was so involved with it. Now I don't have it. I felt the loss, even though he was niftar a month ago. I still feel it. It was Adam Gadol. He's such a great man that no one knew about it. Because that was his ways. He was so modest. He was so humble. So how do we see that he was such a great man? He was such a humble man? Look at his ending. It tells me what the beginning is throughout his life. The levaya was such a simple levaya. Who attended the levaya? A small amount of people. No one could be there. That's the way a person dies. This is the way we know that his whole lifetime is like that. Hashem gives us an opportunity to see the real person, the real person, the way he is right now. That's what I mean. He was all his life. He was very, very modest and humble, but he was an Adam Gadol. It's not a coincidental thing that Harim Mod Kedushim, we see it here. When a person's niftar, then the Kedusha comes out, the greatness comes out. Before that, we don't know. We see it. I saw a tremendous amount of kohod, me, myself, when I see when he came to my house. But nevertheless, we don't know the greatness of the person. It was Adam Gadol in three things. It was Adam Gadol in Torah. It was Adam Gadol in Emunah and Abudah. And it was also Adam Gadol in Mitot. I saw the Adam Gadolut in his Torah. Everybody, we mentioned so many times, the Torah was unbelievable. He finished Shas, Mishnayot, Halachot, so many times in Mishnah Berurah, so many times said Tehillim, every single day she said Tehillim, on and on. Ahomash, Nikraot Gadolot he had, and he was learning it. He was always learning, like Yaakov said. Every single day. He had a schedule. The morning was Gemara, then Mishnayot, and then Halachot, and then Homash, and then Tehillim. He didn't stop learning the whole day. But one thing was very unbelievable. I just found out. I didn't know all of those years. He had a simcha. He had a tremendous simcha from three great Rabbanim. Never once he mentioned it to me. He had it from a Ruderman. He was a bin by Ruderman. He was a close Talmid of Ruderman. It wasn't just he got a simcha from Ruderman, but he got a certificate of honor from Ruderman. It was simcha from a great gadol, and he was by his house all the time. And it was a ktav yad. wasn't just a semicha, a certificate with writing, with all it was written, handwritten by Rav Ruderman himself. Not only from Rav Ruderman, he got it from Vajay Seif and also Rav Shaul. I didn't know that. It's unbelievable. He got 3 semichot throughout his life. And this is talking about how long ago? It was in 1972. That means 48 years ago. I didn't know about it. He never said one word throughout the years that I know him in my house. I don't have to show myself up. What do I need this for? What's the honor for me? That was the humbleness of him. He was so great in his Torah, he didn't want to show me that. And I saw also, when I used to take him 2 hours before Shabbat started, he insisted I should be there 2 hours before Shabbat. I was there. He got his Gemara. He had whatever he needed was right next to him. He had the Mishnayot, the Gemara, and Tehillim, and the Hamash. He's ready for everything. And that was like this the whole time Shabbat. He was there for that. One time I told him, what are you up to in your Gemara? And he finished, I'm up to my last daf. I said, let's make a siyum. Siyum. What do you need a siyum for? Siyum. What do you need a siyum for? So let me make a siyum and make it a Sorash al-Shid, make a shpilach, nice thing. Nah, we don't need it. What do I need? And he insisted I shouldn't give him any siyum. That's the greatness of the person. He doesn't show anything. He should know whenever I have people over my house, many times the Talmudim came from different classes over the year, and I would say, Rav Maimon, he's here, everybody saw him. Says, tell me a story about Rav Ruderman. Tell me a story what Rav Ruderman did. He cherished that time and he was bursting with simcha. And I asked him, oh, he did this and he did that. It was so besimcha. He was like close as if he was back in Baltimore. Did you know how many hesed he did in Baltimore? He helped so many Talmudim in Baltimore get on. Rabbi Ozeri is one of them. So many people he helped. He didn't say anything. He was gadol b'emunah in his emunah and bitachon and Hashem and avodat Hashem. It was awe-inspiring. Everybody knew right now Rav Mordechai as the last days of his life. But I knew him many, many years ago. I remember my kids used to go to him. They used to say Tehillim, used to sing by him. He would be cherished by children. So therefore, they grew with Rabbi Maimon. It was so special. But you should know one thing. I saw the deterioration from the beginning of it until then, till now. It was Gibor. It was strong. It was so strong. It was unbelievable. It was very strong. He used to take boxes and boxes of sefarim after sefarim. He had $1 sefer. It was very strong. And he told me once when one of his daughters was born, and it was in Mount Sinai Hospital, and his wife told him, you have to go back home now, Yom Tov. And he took his lulav and etrog, and he walked it from Mount Sinai Hospital back here in Avenue M and East 9th Street. The whole entire time, the kohot that he had, the power he had, all of a sudden he deteriorated slowly, from tremendous amount of power. And then all of a sudden, now he can't use his hands anymore. So therefore he hired somebody but he still was working, he was pushing himself. He never ever gave up. He was a Gibor all across. He was a Gibor in many ways. But not be a Gibor in kohot. His Gibor, when he came with his emunah, he kept on going. He didn't give up. He was a fighter all his life. And what happened after that? He came out, then he was coming to my house all the time. Years ago he used to come. He used to walk from his house down over there by Avenue West to my house every single day, twice a day, up in the morning and at night. He went every single time. Then, slowly and truly, he couldn't walk anymore. So I said, remind me, you're going to stay by me. So he came to stay by me by Shabbat. But he still was walking to Mikdash and back. But finally, there was a problem. He couldn't walk so well. So I said, Rabbi, I'm going to get you a cane. No. And he says, Shabbat, can't do it, Shabbat. It's only when I forced it on him. When I got Rabbi Eliezer to tell him, this is mutar, you got to do it. It's mutar, it's pikuach nefesh, you need it. Then he took it on. And he wound up walking back and forth with a cane. And then from the cane, unfortunately, he couldn't walk anymore. He wound up in his wheelchair till he was niftar. It was very hard for him. But you know what? Never, ever did he say one word of any complaint throughout his life. Not one word of complaint. someone in his stage would just roll over. But no, he was learning, and was learning. He did what he was supposed to. And he told me his secret. You know what it was? The secret was when he was together in Baltimore. Rabbi Ruderman told him, he told him, if you want to succeed in life, you got to constantly learn. Your learning is going to be the most beautiful thing. My Torah, that is my dear, my closeness, as a vanity, that I would have been lost in my pain. His learning made the difference in life. It was close to his Torah, and he constantly wanted the Torah, and more Torah, and more Torah. And that was his Rav Ruderman taught him that. He told him many times. And how often, when someone asked him his trademark, how are you feeling, Rabbi Maimon? Wonderful, with a great smile, not just kick it, wonderful, smiling away. Everybody knew that smile. Rabbi Maimon and Mikdash Melech, you go to him, they say, how are you feeling? They want to hear that, wonderful. Now I told him on the side, Rabbi, now how are you feeling? How's your legs? That's a different story. That's a different story. How are you doing? How many pills did you take? That's a different story. But it's still wonderful. Doesn't make a difference what much pain he's got. He felt it. That was the gadlut and emunah in his greatness and connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I never saw such thing in my life. Never saw one. He was an awe-inspiring to the whole entire Mikdash Melech. When I brought him over there, everyone was so involved. Looked at him in different eyes. It was Rabbi Maimon. Okay, he might be in his wheelchair. In his wheelchair, he might be broken, but it was soaring. It was soaring in his neshama was soaring. It's unbelievable how he was. And by the way, when he was in his wheelchair, there was another trademark in Mikdash Melech. He had a stender. I put a stender next to him, and we were carrying him up to hold his stender to pray. He was praying with such fervent, and he wanted to do Avodat Hashem. What do you mean? I should pray with my wheelchair? No. And he pushes me, and looks at me, and I got someone else, and we push him up. It was very hard. It was impossible practically. And after the tefillah, he would just look, and he put him down. Unbelievable. Everybody saw that. The whole inspiration that he gave was legendary. It was legendary. There was no such thing. I was so much involved in him, and I saw it. It was confined in his chair, but doesn't mean anything to him. Avodat Hashem was the most important thing. Someone said, Rabbi Ammon said it beautifully. We are quarantined. We're in the house, and we're going crazy after a few weeks. He was quarantined. He was secluded in his house for many years. He couldn't get out of the house. There was one point that he couldn't even pray Minhan Arbit because the aide didn't want to take him. So I went and I picked him up, Minhan Arbit. And what happened? I used to go to take him, pushed him, and he sat down and he prayed, and he was so involved in his tefillah. Everybody saw it in the shul over there. They were involved. Wow, look at this man. Every way he walked, he brought inspiration and force. Nobody, when he wanted to do Avodat Hashem, look at Rabbi Maimon. Everybody said, you came to my house, thank you very much. You did such a wonderful job with my father, and it was a great thing. I just want to tell you the truth, the honest truth. I gained so much from him, more than ever. My kids loved him. They cherished him. Everyone looked at him in a different sense. When he wasn't there for Shabbat, they would ask, where's Rabbi Maimon? The grandchildren used to come around, where's Rabbi Maimon? They loved to be next to him because the way he was acting was just so inspiring. It's just impossible to even to imagine how well. I just want to mention also, when I used to take him Shabbat afternoon, and he used to sleep in my couch, or they had a special armchair over there, and he put his legs up. And unfortunately, my grandchildren, unfortunately, my grandchildren, they're all making noise. And I said, Rabbi Maimon, were you able to get a nap? He says, yeah, sure. Says, did you hear so much noise? I said, what noise? It was music to my ears. Music to my ears. That remained with me throughout my life. He taught me, what do you mean there's noise? Children making noise? What are you talking about? This is the most beautiful music in your ears. So he gave me a different sense of having grandchildren. The grandchildren are running around. That's the music to your ears. He taught me a beautiful lesson. This is the lesson. I learned more than he ever did to me. One of my grandchildren looks around and says, look, Sadiq, little kid. Sadiq is here. And all my children used to come, especially to my house on Shabbat, just to see him in action. So the whole inspiration that he got, are you kidding? I gained much more than ever I did for him. Just want to mention also, it was great in Midot. Midot is Damado. Like we said, he was so humble, it was Anam. No one knew exactly where he's standing. No one knew how much kafot, no one knew where he stood before until now. And it was very hard for him. So much hardness, mundane. It was he couldn't even walk. He couldn't even use his mouth. He couldn't even use his hands. And at the end, he couldn't even go to the bathroom on his own. But it didn't stop him one bit. All he wanted was, I want to serve Hashem. I want to serve Hashem. Unfortunately, we don't have him anymore, and we feel the loss. And the loss is there, like I said, Adam Gadol. It was Adam Gadol, and it was really, really lost to us and the family. There's no question about it. We love them dearly, very dearly. Children, grandchildren alike. I had to ask a special mehila, that at the end of his life, I wanted him to come Shabbat, and I couldn't have him because of the virus. And I felt terrible. My wife and I felt terrible. And we felt even worse when we said we couldn't even have the Pesach. Can you imagine? It was heartbreaking. And when we heard that his legs wasn't operating anymore, we said, we're going to have him. Doesn't make a difference. Just as the time being, right? So it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks, but I said to Hashem, everything is going to come back, and we'll have him. So we decided, my wife and I said, we're going to get a ramp and bring him up because it's impossible. We can't even walk 3 or 4 steps up my steps. So we're going to get a ramp. But unfortunately, it was taken very quickly. It was a shocker for all of us, very quickly. How could we even give him such honors? It felt so bad. This is the honors we were supposed to have. The last few weeks of his life, we couldn't even be with him. It was very, very, very shocking, very hard for me and my wife. And my wife even thought he was going to make it. I asked myself. He said he's a fighter. When the tough get going, when the going is tough, the tough get going. So we thought for sure he's a fighter. He's going to make it. He's going to make it. Shocking. That was very hard for us. What should we do? The ways of Hashem. And we can't complain. Just like this is his way, his life, his legendary life, his way of talking, his way of acting. We have to learn to emulate it. We don't have the Maimon, but we have the midot of the Maimon. We have his character trait. We have his good heart. We have his legendary smile. If anybody could just take that, unbelievable. Can you imagine? Down in the dumps with a smile. How you feeling? Wonderful. I couldn't even say it if I could do it. But he had it. Just emulate some trait of his. I asked again, Mehila, I didn't give him the right kavod. I wanted to give him more kavod. I wanted to be by his Levaya. I wanted to be by the Shabbat. I wanted to come even by Sheloshim, but I can't. This is what it is. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu has his ways. But again, because he didn't want to bother anyone. That is his life. He was modest in his ways. His modest in all of his Adam Gadol. So that shows who the person is, the greatness. She is Zichrono Baruch.
Rabbi Radish, thank you so much. Our heartfelt thanks for all you did for my father. I used to fight with you to have him for Shabbat, but you were always happy to take him from me. And really, he enjoyed being there. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you very much.
Rabbi Shlomo Sutton, if we can have a few words from you, please.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak to the Tzibur, to give a little bit kavod to my chavrusa. Pasuk says in this week's parasha, "V'yitem li kedoshim, ki kadosh ani Hashem." ואבדיל אתכם מן העמים להיות לי. לא תקום ולא תיטור בני עמך ואהבת לרעך כמוך אני השם. Unfortunately, we're all in this very hard matzav of the magifa that we have. And when it started and we had to come into quarantine and we couldn't go out, I started to have feelings. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu take us out of the shuls and out of the yeshivot and batei midrash? And I told my talmidim that I guess I felt that we weren't treating the bet midrash properly, and we weren't treating the knesiyot properly, and that when we get finished with this magifa, we're going to have to change things. We can't go back to business as usual. And I was telling that to my talmidim, and that was my feeling. And then I heard a much deeper pshat from Rav Ellinger. They had a azkara for Rav Wolbe, was Rav Ellinger's father-in-law. It was 12 years. And Rav Ellinger spoke, and he said, you know, he's his son-in-law, but before he was the son-in-law, he learned in yeshiva in Rav Wolbe's yeshiva. He was from Switzerland, and he couldn't afford to go home for Yantif. So Rav Wolbe invited him as a bacha to his house for the seder. And he described the seder. There were two other boys there. And he said Rav Wolbe, he was described how Rav Wolbe read the Haggadah and didn't say so much, didn't go fast, didn't go slow. He says, and everybody just watched him. He says, it came to the meal, and one of the boys asked the question. Rebbe, could I ask you a question? He says, yeah. He says, it says, B'chol dor v'dor hayav adam le'arot et atzmo ki'ilu hu yatsa mitzrayim. I was never in Mitzrayim. I don't know what it was to go out. How can I make myself understand what it is? B'chol dor v'dor ki'ilu ani yotze mitzrayim. Rav Wolbe looked at him, he says, you're American? He says, you have to work to take the America out of your life. He looks at it, he says, you see him, he's Swiss. He has to take Switzerland out of his life. He says, I'm from Germany. I have to take Germany out of my life. He says, that's the way we have to live. And then he added, and he says, we all say a beracha every day. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shelo asani goy. He says, what's the pshat shelo asani goy? How much could we say that we don't act like a goy? He says, part of our day is, yes, we daven, we put on tefillin, we say berachot. He says, but how we do it? We have to work. Our avoida is to take the influence that we have from the goyim out of our lives. And that made a very big impression on me. And he said one more thing. He said, it's not only in the Gashmias, he said in the Ruhmiyut as well. We act in our Ruhmiyut not like 100% like we do. We have the influence of the place where we're living in. The truth is, I remember hearing from Rabbi Yehuda Adis once that he said, why do we make the beracha shelo asani goy? Why don't we say she'asani Yehudi? He says the Kotzke asked that kasha. And he answered, he says, shelo asani goy, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made us. She'asani Yehudi, each person has to make himself into a Yehudi. They tell the story of the Chafetz Chaim, that one time someone was sitting next to him when he was saying Birchot HaShachar, and when he got to Shelo Asani Goy, he stopped. And he thought, and then Besimcha, he said, Shelo Asani Goy. And they asked him, what's the pshat? Why did you wait? What were you waiting for? And he says, I wanted to make sure that I have no Goyishikait in me before I make this Beracha Shelo Asani Goy. And Baruch Hashem, I could say it. And then he added, he said, Ivan the Goy, what does he have? A little bit meat, a little bit more meat, and then more than that. And what happens when he finishes that? A bowl of potatoes and more potatoes. He says, what do we have? Shas and Poskim and Rashba and Rambam and Tur and Shulchan Aruch. That was the way that the Chafetz Chaim said it. The pshat is a person has to make himself Baruch She'asani Yehudi. We were made Shelo Asani Goy. We have to take the Goyish out of us. I remember the first time I met Rabbi Maimon must have been in 1979, when Nis Ezos married my cousin So many times they would come, and I remember them telling me we're going to visit Rabbi Mark Maimon. They didn't know who he was at the time, but I think at one of the Sheva Berachot maybe I met him, but I didn't really know him well. I didn't know him. And then we opened up Ateret. Ateret opened in the 80s, 1980 we opened. And Rabbi Maimon started to come to Ateret, and I started to know who he was. I went to Eretz Yisrael, and I learned in Eretz Yisrael. And in 1989, I came back. And when I came back one day, Cham Eliezer Harari came over to me and said to me, you know Rabbi Maimon? I said, yeah. He says, he's looking for a Havruta. Are you willing to learn with him Havruta? I said, yes. When does he want to learn? He says, go talk to him. So I spoke to him. Rabbi Maimon at the time used to come at 7 o'clock to daven in Ateret. And then he went to Flatbush Yeshiva. They used to have for the Sephardi boys a special Rebbe doing tefillah with them. I think he did 6th grade. I'm not really sure. He went to the yeshiva and he did tefillah with them. And then he came back at 7:45. He would finish. He would be back by 9. We learned from 9 to 10 every day. So he asked me, what do you want to learn? I said, I just have finished Ezu Neshech. So I'd like to learn Ezu Neshech and do Hazara. He said, okay, we'll learn Ezu Neshech. We sat, we learned Ezu Neshech. We did every Tosfot. You couldn't catch us on a Tosfot. That was a test that I brought back from Yeshiva that I didn't do so well. I got about an 85 or something like that on the jet. When we finished doing Chazara, we took out the test. It was like, we were laughing. We knew it so well that we were able to answer so well. I think we learned, after that, we learned Masechet Betzah. And then the next year I started to give a shir, and I told him I need to prepare shir. So he was there for me to help me to prepare shir. It was a pleasure to learn with him, and he really gave me a lot of inspiration of how to learn. While we were learning, many times he would discuss a lot of different things. We would discuss different things. And some of the things that came out from our discussions was Lafli. I'd like to just discuss. First of all, he was very, very proud of his heritage. He was Turkish. He would tell me about Turkey and Rhodes and the different minhagim that they had. And being a Syrian, many times we know our ways. We're not really so open to other things. And he would tell me, no, there's other ways, there's other this. And he was so proud and would say, why do you do it like that? He says, that's the way we do it. And he wouldn't want to change the iota from what he learned from there. He was very proud of his family, especially the Bnei Torah in the family. I don't know the whole family, but I remember clearly him telling me about his cousins, Rabbi Abi and Rabbi Michael, and his nephew, Rav Yaakov. And most of all, how many times he told me about Rabbi Amin, Steve, as he used to call him, how much he loved him. And when I would say something, he would say, no, Steve is different. Steve is different. We got up, we grew up together, we did something. Rav Chaim Ben Ulil, he was very proud. He was very proud of the whole family. He was very proud of the whole family. He was proud of his community. I never understood. He would talk so much about the community. And then in 1996, I went to Seattle for a bar mitzvah. And I saw the community. As a matter of fact, he came for that weekend, and I saw how he was there and how he thrived. I met his brother Al and his wife. I met his sister Sally at the time. He was so proud of his family. He was so proud. He was proud of the community. He loved the shul. He loved the shiur that they had on Sunday morning and Kafa Hayim. He was just thriving. I saw a little bit of what he was talking about when he told me, yeah, Seattle is great. Never understood. He was so proud of Ner Yisrael where he learned. He was so proud that he was able to learn there. How many times he spoke about Rabbi Rumin? How many times he spoke about Rav David the Mashkiach? How many times he spoke about Rav Kalevsky? All the things that he learned and he incorporated. He was very proud that he was able to go to Eretz Yisrael and learn in Eretz Yisrael and live in Eretz Yisrael for a while, that he learned in Purat Yosef. He told me that he learned Shechita there, and he got close to a lot of the Rabbanim, a lot of the Gedolim that were there. All that he incorporated into his Avodat Hashem. All of that he incorporated into his Avodat Hashem. His Limud Torah, how much he was Kovei Tim La Torah at the time when he was working, and then when he couldn't work anymore, he went to yeshiva, he went to the kollel. We couldn't learn in the mornings anymore. He said, I have to go to to Mikdash, we started learning in the afternoons. And he was so proud of that learning. He was so proud of when he went to Rabbi Nekritz, and he would come back and tell me different hidushim that he would hear. His diktuk v'mitzvot. And I saw, as a matter of fact, in his panasa also, he was a straight shooter. After he finished his Daila Sefer, I don't remember exactly why, but I think it was somebody else wanted to go into the business. He said, you know what, let me go and talk to them and see if his suppliers would help out the person that we wanted to go into the business same way. So I went and I drove him. I remember going to Moznaim. I remember going to Zundu Berman. And the way that they accepted him and the way that they spoke to him, he had such a Shem Tov in the market, the way that they gave such respect to him. One time I wanted to buy a certain Sfarim. He says, Levitz, you got to go to Levitz. He says, don't just go to Levitz. I'm going to take you. So we went together and we went up to Levitz's house, Rabbi Levitz, and I saw how much love there was that all these people had for him. He was a straight shooter, he was honest, and he had a real Shem Tov. Many times when we would learn, things would come up. What do we do like this? What do we do like that? He would always say, I'm going to call the rabbi. I'm going to call my uncle, and I'm going to ask him. He always wanted to clarify. He was so proud that he was the rabbi's nephew. And he really, really was appreciative that he came from where he came. He had such ahavat Torah. His ahavat Torah, he would hear a good vort. He would say it over. You could see the smile on his face when he heard it. And he didn't just hear it and say it over. He would incorporate any new thing into the way that he was anything he would do. As we quoted at the beginning, it says, "Ve'afta l'recha kamocha" in the pasuk. It says, "Kimayim panim el panim ken lev ha'adam el ha'adam." That the same way when a person looks into water, he sees his reflection and he sees what's coming out the same way as one person's heart to the next. The Midrash says, why, they ask the question, why does it have to compare it to water? Why don't we compare it to wine? All right, wine, you could also look and see a reflection. And the Midrash says, because of the extra vav. And no one understands, what does that mean? Mayim doesn't have a vav, and yayin doesn't have a vav. And we don't understand. It has a vav, the vav in kamocha, but what does it mean? The Gaon of Vilna says that in every letter, there's what we call the nigleh and the nistar. Every letter, for example, when you have aleph, the aleph is what we see. But the way that you spell out the word aleph is aleph, lamid, pei. So the aleph is the nigleh, and the lamid, pei is the nistar. So he says like this, the Gaon of Vilna. If you look at the word mayim, the mem is written mem. So mem is gematria 40. The nistar is also gematria 40. The second letter is yod. Yod vav dalet. Yod is 10 and vav dalet is 10. That's exactly the same as well. So mem yod mem has the same, the nigleh and the nistar. If you take yayin, yod is the same, yod vav dalet. But you take the nun is spelled nun, vav nun. So the nistar has an extra vav from the nigleh. So that's why it says kimayim panim el panim, and it doesn't say ki yayin panim el panim. The Sar Shalomi Bells asks, okay, it doesn't say yayin, but why doesn't it say like a mirror? Kimen apanim el panim. You see yourself in the mirror. Second question he asks, he says, why does it say ve'ahavta le'reacha kamocha? What does it mean le'reacha? It should say ve'ahavta re'acha kamocha. Love your friend. Why is it to your friend? So he says there's a medrash that says that you have to love what's secondary to re'acha, which also needs an explanation. So he said like this: if a person looks into the mirror, he's standing up and he looks straight. When he has to look to the water, he has to bend himself down a little bit. When a person bends himself down a little bit, he has a little bit hachna'ah. He says that's how you're going to have the Aftal Lecha Kamocha. When you look at yourself like you're better than the next person, you're not going to love him as much. When you feel like you have to bend down to him, you're going to love him a lot more. And that's why he says, what does it mean, the Aftal Lecha Kamocha, what's secondary? He says, take the words Re'acha. What's secondary to the Resh? What's the letter after Resh, Ayin Chav? After Resh is a Shin. And after Ayin is Pei. and after Chaf is Lamed. Shin Pei Lamed says Shafel, that you're going to be a little bit lower. That's the idea of Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. When you lower yourself a little bit, that's the way it is. I heard a very nice vort. What's the nicest letter in the alphabet? Someone said Tzadi. Why? Because it's the nicest name. Well, what's the great thing about the Tzadi? He says the Tzadi is like a nun, and it has a little yod on top. It's like a yid. It carries the yid. So he's considered a tzaddik. That's why it's called a tzaddik. So they ask a question if that's the case. And Aleph also has a little yod on its back. He says no. If you look, the Aleph is also stepping on a yod. A person who steps on a yod is not called a tzaddik. The person who carries it on his back and doesn't step on anybody else, that's called a tzaddik. That's the inyan of the anava. Rabbi Maimon was an anav gadol. Anava, he never tooted his own horn. He never said, I did. I never heard him telling me, I went, I did, I said. Never. If we'd ask him what he did, so he would tell us what he did. But to come and tell somebody, he never tooted his horn. I never saw him ever get angry. I never heard him yell. I've seen him frustrated. The most he would do would go, why? Why did he say that? Why did he do that? Like an astonishment. But as far as anger, I never ever saw him get angry. The Ramban in the Geret Ramban says, call devarecha benachat, and that way you'll get to becoming to the midat anava, which is the midah that everything is the highest that you need to in life. That was Rabbi Maimon. Everything he said was benachat, and everything he did was with anava. As Rabbi Wadish mentioned, he never complained. Not only did he never complain, he never wanted to bother anybody. He never wanted to bother anybody unless you pushed him to help him. Rabbi, are you doing anything? You need anything? No, everything is good. You sure you don't need? Maybe you need me to go to the store for new shirts? New shirts? Okay, I'll get you the shirts. He wouldn't ask anybody to do it, and he wouldn't bother anybody if he really felt that it was a bother. Many times, I remember one time, he needed something. I said, why don't you ask one of your children? He would go, well, what's the problem? He's a child. He's a this. So I thought he just didn't want to bother him. I said, I happened to have, he happened to have said, I pushed him enough, and I asked him, is it maybe because you don't want to be machshil him for being over on Kibud Avit? He'll say no. He looked at me. He said, yeah. He didn't want to put any of his kids in a predicament where they're going to say no. And he didn't want to bother anybody if he thought that it was something that would really bother him. Anyone who he felt it wasn't a bother, he let them do something. I remember Rabbi Yifrach used to go to the store, used to buy him certain things that he needed. Rabbi Yifrach, he didn't feel it was a bother. And Rabbi Wadish, you were never a bother. I want you to know, a person cannot thrive, as betch as he was, without somebody else helping him through. And without you, I don't know if he would have made it. He had unbelievable respect for you, unbelievable love for you. And I don't have any words to say. I don't know if I'm happy I know you here, because I don't know if I could ever make it to see you in Olam Ha'emet. He was a very big veteran. He never wanted to stand on anything. If it was easy to be done, he said, okay, let's do it. If it was hard, okay, let him have it. Let him do it. Let it happen. Let it be. Doesn't have to be. He was mevater on everything. Just want to mention the pasuk in Kedoshim, as we discussed. V'yitem li Kedoshim ki kadosh ani Hashem. And it says over here, Kedoshim to you ki ani Hashem. What does it mean, ki ani Hashem? So I read in one of these alunim from Baruch Bukra. He says, it says by the beginning of Vayera, Vaydaber Elokim Moshe v'yomer elav ani Hashem. And Rashi says over there, what's ani Hashem? Ne'eman l'shalem sachar. Ne'eman l'shalem sachar. Rabbi Maimon was 100% a Yehudi. He was Shelo Asani Goy, he was a Shasani Yehudi. He was V'avdil etchem min ha'amim. He was totally mufka from any of the goyish things. He was totally in the Ve'avta l'recha kamocha ani Hashem. He was totally in V'yitem li Kedoshim ani Hashem. Kedoshim, two perushim, gam meaning holy and gam meaning separated from all the other nonsense. He was totally there. And Be'ezat Hashem, I'm sure that because of that, he's going to be the zocher to the haftaha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Ani Hashem ne'eman l'shalem sachar. I'm sure that he's there. To the family, I'm just going to say that Hamakom yenachem etchem b'toch sha'ar avalei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. The Ger Rebbe used to say, what does it mean, Hamakom? The place where he has in Olam HaEmet should be a nechama to you, that we should know. He went through, he had a lot of Yisurim. A person who has Yisurim, that first of all cleanses him right away. The Shevet Musar says that anyone who dies in a Magefa is mohalim lo avonotav. I saw it brought down. I'm sure. One last thing before I give it over, I just want the kids to know. He loved you guys so. He loved the family. He loved his sister. He loved his brother. He loved his sisters. He loved his children. How many times I used to learn with him and he would get a phone call, he wouldn't answer. But if it was his children, it would be a half a minute. Hi, how are you? What's doing? I'm learning now. I'll call you later. But he had to answer for his children, all his children. Anytime they would call. He had such a love for you, and you was zocher that he had a father like that. And tiyeh nishmato tzirura b'tzorah hayim. Amen.
Rabbi Sain, thank you so much for those words. My father had such respect for you, enjoyed learning with you. It was a real zechut. Thank you.
I got much more out of it than he did.
Good, I'm glad. Okay, we have Rabbi Chaim Ben Eliel, my father's cousin, would like to say a few words. He was unable to get on Zoom, so I have him on speaker. Rabbi Ben Eliel?
Thank you very much. I apologize in advance that I'll be short.
Is everyone able to hear?
I had previously committed to some other
yeah, we can hear him fine.
Obligations, but let me say a few words. Mordechai, Leilui Nishmat Mordechai ben Reyna. As we all know, Mordechai was a happy person, and the wonder is how can you be a happy person going through such suffering, such limitations and handicaps? Lo aleno. But that says so much. It defines who the person was, and it's a great lesson for us, especially during these difficult times that we're going through. That if we could draw on his example, that Yibdu et Hashem b'simcha, kos yeshua tesa, and tzara v'yagon nesa, the same kos, and it's amazing. But he was such a happy person, and he made everybody happy. He was mekabel kol adam b'sever panim yafot, and his sense of humor and his smile and his warm personality, he made everybody comfortable and happy with him. He had wonderful midot, the midot, that winning combination of midot tumiyot, beautiful midot, together with his atmada and Torah, is definitely a winning combination. And our Gedolei Yisrael, even the great Chachmei HaGemara, Chachmei HaMishnah, are referred to as Talmidei Chachamim. The Baalei Musar bring out that no matter how great a person is, he remains a Talmid. He's always anxious to learn. The Saba Mekelem Zal brings that in the Kodesh Kodashim, we had the Kruvim. And what were the Kruvim? The Kruvim had the form of a young child. And the Baal HaTurim writes on that, Hinar Yisrael de'ohavehu. So he explains that what is the outstanding characteristic of a young child? That's that he's always learning. And this was the Manoach, alav shalom, that he was maleh v'gadush. He was great in Torah, but he never stopped. Always anxious to hear a word, to learn, to keep learning. And also, I'd like to mention, we have a pasuk that we say every day in the Shir Shal Yam. Ze emi ve'alvehu Elohei Avi v'Adonai Menhu. So she says, Elokei Avi lo ani techilat hakedusha. Person should realize kedusha doesn't start with me. Muchzeket ve'omedet me'avotai Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. And so therefore we always have to go back to the avot, the kesher, and the zechut of our forefathers. But the beginning of the pasuk emphasizes ze'eni ve'anvehu, that the person himself has to make that effort to understand Hashem, to be close to Hashem, to be mitdabek b'Hakadosh Baruch Hu. So we see that we need the combination of both attitudes and both midot. That a person has to work and not rest on the laurels of Yerusha, that he came from a great family, but at the same time to know that he's building on the yesod of Zechut Avot and everything that came before. So Mordechai was, he worked very hard. He was Amel B'Torah, and as we said, to always to try to gain more and more. But at the same time, as was mentioned, the previous speaker, that he always remembered the Mekorot. He remembered where he came from. And as was mentioned before, that he was very devoted to the Minhag Avot, and he recognized the beauty of that heritage of the Moreshet Avotav. By the way, in everything that he did, he had a great role model in his father, Alav Shalom, my beloved Uncle Jack, that was such a not only Mokir Rabbanan, but he loved learning. He was, as Chazal say, Heveh Shoteh B'tzama et Divrehem. He was like thirst with thirst to delight in a Devar Torah. And he was Adam Yashar. He was really a great person, and Mordechai certainly had a role model besides all of his rabbeim and so forth. But I think this is an opportunity to mention Uncle Jack, that I had such respect for and admired. The pasuk says, Ki chelek Hashem amo, Yaakov chevel nachalato. The Seforno says that the unique aspect of Klal Yisrael is that we're a chevel, that we're not just tzaddikim. Yes, we are tzaddikim, but we're tzaddikim connected to the rope, to the chain, going back to the Avot HaKadoshim. And he says that that's unique to Am Yisrael. He says among the Umot HaOlam, sometimes there may be Hasidei Umot HaOlam, but they're isolated, they're individual, and there's no continuity. But with Am Yisrael, it's the continuity. And my dear cousin Mordechai, Alav Shalom, he was a beautiful link in this chain of tradition, and he'll be very, very much missed. We pray that he'll be a Melitz Yosher, especially for the family, for his children,
Amen.
and for the Kehillah, for all of us.
Amen. Thank you so much, Rabbi Ben-Liel, for those words. And last, but certainly not least, we have my father's cousin, Rabbi Abi Maimon.
It's hard to describe the loss, because it's hard to describe to the new generation what life was like growing up in Seattle. Rab Chaim certainly understood it, and a few of you who are visible here shared that life with us. I cannot imagine impossible to be closer to two families, to be closer than our family and Uncle Jack's family. Impossible to describe that. Almost every part of life we shared together. Stevie and Mark, we were like a trio. And those years definitely, as Reb Chaim said, definitely had an impact on the later difficult years. Life in New York was very different. If we had been able to keep up the pace, we would be in each other's house 24/7 at all the time. It just doesn't work like that in this part of the country. And I wish that I had been able to share more of his life, share the knowledge of his children, become more intimate with his children, because you're wonderful and you belong to a very wonderful past, and you should constantly gain nechama and understanding what a special, beautiful person your father was, but it transcends just him. It's an entire heritage that you belong to. I'd like to share in as few minutes as I can, not a description of his midot and ma'alot, which you've heard. You've heard wonderful, wonderful description of who Mordechai was. But I'd like to share with you what is most important is to learn something from him, to take away lessons from his life that really will make an impression on you and help us to grow. And through helping us to grow, they're a source of ilui nishama for him. He's left the olam ha'asiyah, he cannot perform mitzvot anymore. But if we allow the memory and the inspiration that he leaves us with to fester and grow, it will constantly add to his zachuyot in olam ha'emet. And I'd like to share with you what I'm going to take away, one of the things that I'm going to take away from understanding the simcha that Reb Chaim spoke about, and the ability to suffer with a smile on his face. I'd like to describe how we can start to get a little bit of that midah from him. I looked at a sefer that my father loved very much. I think it's called Bnei Yehuda, and he says something that connects acharemot to kedoshim. Yes, it's drush, but there's a very good, important lesson. The lesson of acharemot is how a Jew does teshuvah on Yom Kippurim. And there's a very interesting aspect. Aaron HaKohen had to bring a korban LaHashem and a korban LaZazel. The Chachamim say on the pasuk of Shnei HaSeirim that when he brought the korban LaHashem and the korban LaAzazel, the two korbanot had to be exactly the same. The korban LaHashem had to be the same size, the same height, the same voice as the korban LaHashem. The korban LaAzazel had to be absolutely equal. You had to be able. You had to mistake one for the other in order for you to be yotzei the mitzvah of goralot echad l'Hashem echad l'Azzel. What is the reason for that? So he said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a human being with a Yetzer HaTov and a Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer HaTov is the Korban LaHashem that represents the Yetzer HaTov. The Korban LaAzazel, this is the Satan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created every individual with an equal portion. Ki ish givirto. It is impossible to say that I have a bigger Yetzer Hara than my Yetzer HaTov, because if that would be the case, I wouldn't be able to ever overcome. That's Christianity. Judaism constantly commits to the idea that we have the ability to overcome. The problem is it's very difficult to overcome. It's very difficult to overcome because for some reason the Yetzer Hara has a terrific shelita over us. So he quoted a fascinating word from one of the Hasidic Rebbes. I don't remember which. The Pirkei Avot says, I think it's the Bishimon Gamliel said, "Lo matzati laguf tov mishetika." Famous Mishnah Pirkei Avot. I have never found for the body a better elixir than silence. Now we know silence is golden. In Spanish, in Seattle, they said, "Cuando la boca está cerrada, no entra la mosca." There's nothing like silence. But the question is, why did he say, "Lo matzati la guf tov mishtika"? He should have said, Lo matzati la'ish, lo matzati le'adam, tov mishtika. Why does he say, Lo matzati la'guf, tov mishtika? And he says, perhaps the hint is to the discussion that we had. How is it that the Yetzer Hara has such power over us, when in fact HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the Yetzer HaTov and the Yetzer Hara equal? He says, because the Yetzer Hara knows how to make a lot of noise. He creates diversions. He creates the inability for us to calm down and see things as they are. You know, when you get excited, you never make a decision. When you're emotional about something, you never make a decision because you don't know how you will think when you calm down. The Yetzer Hara has that power to prevent us from calming down and thinking straight and understanding what's right and what's wrong. We really do have the ability to discern. We do have the ability to choose, but there's terrible noise. So he says, Lo matzati laguf tov mishtika. When you have a fight, your body is fighting your neshama. Your body is fighting your neshama for who's going to get the upper hand, the Yetzer HaTov or the Yetzer Hara. He said, Lo matzati laguf tov mishtika. The body, the best thing for the body is to learn how to quiet all of that background noise that takes us and ruins our ability to think straight. Shtika, peace, serenity. And he says that's why on Yom Kippurim, when we symbolize the Jew getting back the equality to the Yetzer Hara, if you take your body and negate your body, then that gives you the ability to see again. You have the ability to know lahavdil ben tov lera. That's what Yisurim are. Yisurim, for people who don't understand, whose lives are not committed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, are nothing but misery. My cousin Mordechai, in his life, Yisurim were a ladder for him to purify and to grow and to become a better person, because the Yisurim brought peace. Isn't that amazing? Whereby most people would react to Yisurim with total lack of composure, his response to Yisurim was complete composure. Composure is a giant of a midah. That's the shtika. Lo matzati laguf tov mishtika. And it's connected to this week's parasha, the second parasha, Kedoshim Tiyu, Ki Kadosh Ani. I want you to become better. I want you to grow. Your spirit should grow, because what is important in life is Kadosh Ani, and you can connect to me and be great. The next words, Ish Aviv V'imo Tirau. This is the Saraf says, the Hasidic Rebbe says, why Ish Aviv V'imo Tirau comes right next to Kedoshim Timo, and why Et Shabbatotai Tishmoru comes right next to Kedoshim Tiyu. He says, again, Al Pi Drush, he says, we all know Shlosha Shutafim Ba'adam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives the Neshama and the Spirit, and the Yetzer HaTov is a piece of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Guf, the father and the mother contribute. Kedoshim Tiyo Ki Kadosh Ani. How do you arrive at Ki Kadosh Ani? Ish Aviv V'imo Tirau. If the part that Hashem gives becomes important to you, and the part that your mother and your father give to you, the Guf, becomes secondary. You're afraid of what they might do to you. You're careful not to let them get a hold and overtake you. And when can you do that? Which day of the week is made to stop a person from constantly having background noise in his life? It's Shabbatotai Tishmoru. Another day, another time, another place. The day that you don't go wild about, the day that you don't think about anything but HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's amazing how HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us the ability on Shabbat Kodesh to block out everything. It would be miraculous if on Sunday I told you, don't think about what you're going to have to do in 10 minutes. Don't think about whether it's a good move or a bad move, whether you should invest or not invest, whether you have enough money to make this. If I told you during the week to forget about it, you would tell me, forget about it. Impossible. On Shabbat, it's all gone. Because you have a nefesh, a neshama yetera. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you an advantage on Shabbat. You got an extra neshama. You have the neshama gets weighed down heavier than the guf. One of the things that, as you all said, as we all know about our great, great cousin, was that he was of terrific peace and serenity. The fact that he never raised his voice. I had the occasion to be in close touch with him when he was going through some of the most difficult parts of his life. There was always peace. There was never a rancor. There was always sechel. There was always HaKadosh Baruch Hu in everything that he did. And one of the things we can carry away, the Yisurim that he experienced were also nothing but ways to make him more logical, more in touch with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu every morning, we want to become close to you, but V'lo Yedei Yisurim. We want to become close to you, but we want to do V'lo Yedei Yisurim. It's a very difficult task when one is minus Yisurim to reach the purity of Nefesh that HaKadosh Baruch Hu requests of us. That's our memory of Mark. Contribute to our ability to constantly think of, whenever you're in a pickle, whenever you're angry, whenever you're flustered because you don't know how to handle the challenges that come to you, remember the peace that Mark had when he had Yisurim. And if we can take that with us and understand that it's just a way to connect with our neshama, so that we can at least equal the playing field between the Yetzirah Tov and the Yetzirah, we will all grow. May this lesson, let me and us internalize this lesson, and I hope that it's a way of asking for mechila from our great, great cousin, for all of that we could have done and didn't do, and may it be li'ilui nishmato sheteh nishmato tzurah b'tzurah chaim, amen ken yeh ratzon.
Amen. Abi, thank you so much for those words. We really appreciate it. I'm just going to ask Rabbi Martif now to say Shema for my father.
אוקיי. מרחם יעקב בריאותיו, ויחוס, יחמוד, ירחם על נפש רוח נשמה של נפטר בשם טוב מן העולם. מרדכי בן ריינה הוא רוח אדוני גן עדן, הוא כל בני ישראל אשר חווים עמו, חל הרחמים סמכות וכן ינסו אמר אמן.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. We have Madame in Seattle as well. If anyone
בכבוד השבת. אני ככה אגיד לכם, אל תפעלו. כשאני כותב, עליו השלום, עמוד קץ.
מי שומע על הרב חוטה?
אומר לאדם, קח בגדי שבת לשם, אני במראה פה. זה החוק שלנו. תראה מה אתה עושה. רוצה ללבוש אותו בשבת. בשבת לא מתאים. טוב לי יכיר את השבת.
עכשיו זה הכי מעניין.
Mordechai, thank you for being here. Thank you.
Mordechai, how are you?
Baruch Hashem, good to see you, Yaakov.
Same here.
Hi, Mordechai. Thank you for joining.
course.
Good morning.
Hi, Melissa. Thanks for listening also.
There's most of mine in
Thanks, I
here.
know you passed it on. Thank you.
How are you?
Uh-huh.
What's it up?
Yair wanted to say a little better, but he got a little stage fright.
I did that.
Say at the end that Salmon's next.
Salmon is next?
Yeah, he's up the next to you.
Bezrat Hashem, Salmon will speak next.
No, he's up to the next to you. The next to you, he asked the
Next to you?
Yes.
I'll let him know a message from you.
Right, exactly.
What about Ruby or Jeff?
What?
Yeah,
What about Ruby
Salmon.
or Jeff for W3?
Thanks, Yair.
Thank you, Yair.
Mother's still on?
هذا كمان طلعوا كمان اسم.
Sarah was.
We're on it.
No, I think so.
Sarah.
Sarah, can you show the picture of Daddy again now, please?
That's Sarah.
What should I show the picture of?
I want to see the picture of Daddy again.
Okay, 1 second, hold on.
Where is Sarah?
I have to go because hold on. 1 minute, I'm turning off my video and then.
Okay.
Oh.
Yes, I know.
Oh, wait.
Uncle Moshe.
No.
I'm missing something you said.
Who's that?
1 minute.
On?
Sarah, your video's on.
No, I'm getting it now. 1 second.
Okay.
You're unmuted.
You wanted that one?
Yeah.
Don't see it.
Wow, when's that picture from? From the bar mitzvah?
From Eliyahu's bar mitzvah.
Yeah, I have that picture. Beautiful.
I took it, man.
Wow, very
He
nice.
fixed it.
Oh, right.
The lighting and everything.
Yeah.
I think. Because I did it one time by the funeral.
There's another one.
So take it off. You
She has to go off. I can't.
I like that one better.
Yeah.
This one's better. I like this picture better.
Okay, whatever.
He's talking to somebody.
The other one, he's smiling.
I know, but this one I like better. I don't like how he looks in the other one as much.
That's not a picture. That's Sarah. Who?
Oh, yeah, that's Daddy.
It's from Sarah.
Yeah, that's a picture of Daddy.
Picture.
Oh, wow, Mordechai, that's a great picture.
Mark. Yeah.
That's a nice picture.
Oh, wow.